Hello. You know that I try to stay away from just reading off something out of a chart because that's really boring and does not keep people's attention. So I want to bring your attention to this HTTP methods and status codes. And it talks about, hey, what's actually behind the scenes, right? When you type in testout.com and hit enter, what's happening. So it talks about that, of what it's actually sending and doing. And then there's actually status codes. And most people, 404 means not found. Everybody knows that one. We still get that one. It used to be back in the day that you would get these different errors. And if you knew what those errors were, like something in the 503 means service unavailable, we used to get that a lot. Now they hide all of it. They know that people don't know what it means, and so they just kind of leave it alone, and they try to give a better explanation of what it means. But these are all the different codes that you can get for something not being available, something not being quite right. That's right here, methods and status codes. So let's look at DHCP. It is a beast in and of itself. And what DHCP stands for is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. In other words, it's the thing that makes it easy for you to just attach to a Wi-Fi and all of a sudden, like magic, you're on the internet. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol is the one that basically, once you authenticate to the Wi-Fi, goes, I need a number on this network. And it gets a number, and now you can communicate. So it's going to give you an IP number, is what we're talking about, an IP address. It's going to give you the information you need. So this is a good way of looking at it. You have a certain pool of addresses, and this symbol right here means that that's storage. So in other words, it's actually part of this server here. And it looks in the pool and it says, I've got this range to hand out, so that as computers request that, it can send out IP numbers. And that happens on your little box at home. It's automatically a DHCP server. Oh boy, that's another thing we can add to the list, huh? So what are we up to now? It's access point, switch, router, DHCP server. I think I'm missing something in there, but anyway, and that's where you get the number from that you can actually talk with the network on. Now, in classes, we will often just set up a static IP address. As a matter of fact, in networking, I'll have you actually set up networks, and we won't have a DHCP server. So I'll say, hey, you need to statically assign. That's not the only reason I do it. I do it because I want people to actually get into their head what they're doing, because we talk about all of this, having to have a subnet mask, having to have IP numbers. And I talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. And then this is the time I want to see if somebody actually understands what we were doing. And usually about half the class understands it. But if you start here and really get this in your head, you'll be much further ahead when we get to networking. So a statically assigned IP address means it doesn't change. It means that you went in manually to where you had to go in the OS and typed in an IP number and typed in a subnet mask, and that's what it is and will stay that way until you go and change it. Dynamic is what DHCP does. It basically will put that information automatically in for you. It might change from day to day, it might not, but it all happens by connecting to one of these servers. In other words, your computer comes online and it says, hey, I have got DHCP configured. And that means I need to know what my number is. I don't have a number. And it's not going to statically assign itself one. So it sends out a broadcast on the network and says, can somebody tell me where the DHCP server is? DHCP server says, yep, this is me right here. And then it says, okay, well, what I'm looking for is a number. Okay, well, I can give you a number, and here's the number that you get. All right, this is the number I got, and away you go. And that happens with DHCP servers. It's fundamental to what we do on networks, fundamental, because it happens all the time on just about every network that you attach to. So DHCP,